When you saw an opportunity, you built a business around it. And every day since, you've kept a sharp eye on ways to evolve and keep your business thriving. It takes courage, creativity, and a clear perspective. At Bremer Bank, we understand that your business is the result of your hard work and ingenuity, and we're here to support you with solutions when you spot an opportunity to grow. Work with Bremer Bank, because understanding is everything.
Before she became an autism advocate and mom of four, Sheletta Brundage was an Emmy Award-winning comedian. Need something to put a smile in your face? Laughing with Letta is sure to tickle your funny bone. Check it out, but pee first and make sure you ain't drinking nothing when Sheletta's on a roll. That way you won't have anything to clean up when the podcast is over.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Laughing with Letta. For all my first timers, this is a podcast that entertains, informs, and uplifts you. For those of you who rock with me each and every week, welcome back. And we have a very special guest. I'm going to get to it right away because I don't want to delay. U.S. Senator Tina Smith is joining us on the Laughing with Letta podcast. Senator Tina, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, Sheletta. I'm so glad to be with you. I haven't seen you for a while. So
Girl, I
I'm,
know.
well, no, I have to tell you, we were supposed to do this podcast a week or so ago, and like half an hour before, all the power went out in my house because some squirrel jumped up on the transformer.
Oh my.
And, and like, I mean, sorry for the people that love squirrels, but that squirrel is no longer with us in this world.
Baby,
And
and that squirrel messed up our whole morning because we had some stuff to talk about, some things to get to. Girl, I don't know what is going on with these rodents. There was a raccoon in Rochester that just jacked up the power there, like 100,000 people lost power, and the raccoon survived. I was like, how in the hell did the
how did
raccoon?
that happen? I know it. And Archie, my husband Archie, was sending us pictures of sending me pictures of like 8 wild turkeys roaming around in our front yard. I mean, I think the animals are up in arms, Shaletta.
Girl, okay, first of all, the animals know it's a mess in the city. Okay, the animals are scared. We are scared. It's a whole lot of stuff going on. Girl, what is going on with our democracy? Like, I teach at the University of Minnesota, and
Mm-hmm.
these students are actually afraid. My
Mm-hmm.
Egyptian students, my Muslim students, my
Oh, sure.
Somali students, they're like, it's just it's a mess going on right now.
Well, I so appreciate you. And I'm just thinking about how just less than an hour ago, I was doing I'm in Washington, D.C., and we do our Coffee with Tina, where any Minnesotan or anybody who wants to come in and have a cup of coffee and just talk can come. And there were people who were representing international students there. And we,
Mm.
you know, just last night we had, I think, 5 international students here legally on student visas, and they're having their visas revoked. We had this Minnesota student who just was scooped up by ICE, and it of course it's terrifying. And I think we have to all remember, I mean, due process, meaning you have to go through the process of what the laws say applies to everybody in this country,
Mhm.
not just to United States citizens, but to every person. I mean, that dates to the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. And so we have to stand up to this. And I'm glad you're highlighting it. And I can imagine, I mean, what are your students telling you?
They are afraid, they're frustrated, they're angry. They don't know what's coming next. They don't know about their safety. But what can we do? I mean, it seems like it's just happening. Have we absolutely lost control? It seems like we're slipping into darkness at this point, and I don't know what we can do about it.
Yeah, well, I think I know. I feel it too. I mean, I will tell you that sometimes I'm overwhelmed, sometimes I feel exhausted, but then I reconnect with what I know are the core values and the great promise of this country. I do believe that this country is a great democracy, and I see so much power in what people are doing at the grassroots. And I just want,
Mhm.
maybe I could just tell you a little bit about what happened earlier this week here in the Senate, where my dear friend and colleague, Senator Cory Booker, went on the floor of the United States Senate, and he held the floor, meaning he started talking and he did not stop for 25 hours.
Whoa.
And he used that moment to say, this is not normal, what is happening in our country. He used it to shine a light on the ways in which Donald Trump is tearing down our country, but also to lift up what is so great about this country and the people of this country. And it was an act of incredible courage. And when I say he stood there, he did not sit down or leave his station for 25 hours, not to go to the bathroom, not to have a
Wow.
bite to eat. And by the end, I was so uplifted by his act. I mean, it was an act of physical courage, but it
Mm-hmm.
was also, and all the time he spoke with such beauty and elegance and eloquence about this country. And what he kept saying, which I say to all of everybody who's listening to you right now, is that, um, the basically the people, the power comes from the people.
Yeah.
And the people in power get their power from the people. And that is what is going to make a difference. This weekend, lots of people are going to show up and let their views be known. And that is going to be the source of our of the change going forward.
I just, when I think about the fact that you are retiring, my heart starts hurting. The one thing that I know about your office is that you give access. You talk about these coffees with Tina where anybody can come. People feel so connected to you. And when you announce I am retiring, we want to respect that. We really do. But girl, our little feelings are hurt because we can walk in the door and make a meeting. We can talk to you. We can connect with you. We can find you at the fair and sit down and, have a turkey leg and hang out
That's right, we can.
and we can, and we have not always had that type of access. And I'm not just talking about big donors and lobbyists. I'm talking about
Right.
me and people who look like me.
Hmm. Well, I that means so much to me, and that has been the great joy of serving in this role. To be, I have said, I could spend all my time going to places where there's already lots of power and influence, but I see my role as being going to the places where people often don't feel seen. They often don't feel heard because they're not. And I think that's one of the big changes that we have to make in our country. This is one of the weaknesses of our democracy right now. Is it is way too answerable. It spends
Mhm.
way too much time catering to the interests of the wealthiest, the biggest, the most powerful, the most politically powerful. And I mean, like all you needed to do was to look at the dais when Donald Trump was sworn into office and who was sitting up there in front of in front of his cabinet, the
Girl, in front of his
wealthiest
family.
billionaires. Yeah, in
Yes.
front of
I
his
thought I was
family.
the only one who noticed that. I was like, why is the rich wise men, Zuckerberg, Musk, and Bezos
Yeah.
sitting up there behind the president? Girl, if the fix is in. When I saw that, I said the fix is in.
That's right. That's right. And so I think that that is not what makes our country strong. That is not what makes our democracy strong. And we need to flip around so that we are truly making sure this country has spent too much time serving the wealthiest and the most powerful. And this is real change that we need to make. This is a change that, I'm a Democrat. This is a change that our Democratic Party needs to really look at. And that gets me to something that I wanted to say about retiring, which is that I I have so much confidence that when I step aside in 2 years, that there will be somebody who is more than ready to step into these shoes and to really be ready to serve the people. There is such a strong bench of talent in Minnesota. And don't
Hmm.
you think that, I mean, I'm only 67, but I feel like a child in the Senate sometimes.
You a youngster. You a wet behind the ears at 67. You a young
I'm
buck.
like, I'm like ready for like, let's let somebody who's in their 50s take over this job for a little bit or in their 40s. I'm ready to, I don't mean to be ageist. I don't mean to be disrespectful of people who have the wisdom of age. My own father is almost 95 and I consult him
Wow.
all the time. But I think that having fresh ideas, having new people in these roles in the United States Senate will also be a blessing.
I look at Tim Walls and he is going all across the country. He was just in Houston, my hometown, at my
Oh,
favorite
yes.
chicken shack eating Frenchies,
Don't tell
right?
me I'm hungry right now.
And listening to the people. And I just have to tell you, girl, that looks awful presidential. What do you think? I mean, you've been in this game a long time, girl. What you think, President Walls, girl? Maybe
Yeah.
we weren't aiming high enough at the VP level.
Well, I just think, who knows what I think what Tim is doing is really important right now as he travels
Mhm.
around and he is really kind of calling out this administration. And I think he does seem like he's sort of freed up in ways that maybe he wasn't when he was the vice presidential candidate.
Mhm.
And I'm like, more power to you. You know, this is the moment where we need people to be speaking out and connecting with people. And I think that's it's so important. And especially right now, I mean, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, and I wanted to know what you're thinking about, because you've spent so much time in your work and your career really wanting to lift up entrepreneurs, Black
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, people who have not always had a seat at the table when they are trying to get their businesses going. You and I have done lots of work together on this,
Mhm.
and so I'm just wondering how you're feeling right now about this sort of clampdown on so-called DEI programs, and what we, you know, what we should be doing about this, because it's just so wrong.
Well, I first have to say thank you for the work that you've done to raise awareness about DEI. When, President Trump took office, you were one of the first people to stand up for BIPOC business owners. And you've done that traditionally and throughout your history as a legislator.
Hmm.
And so I just need to say thank you for that.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
but it is frightening because Black business owners, we got together at Black Entrepreneurs Day at the Capitol this past February,
Yeah.
and what I kept hearing was my revenue is down. My
Hmm.
partnerships are down. My connections are down because, these major corporations like the Targets of the world and the Amazons that had made promises to partner with Black and Brown business owners now don't have to
Hmm.
do what they promised that they would do. And so
Hmm.
even me as an entrepreneur, I talked to my accountant this week and we're down. This is the first
Hmm.
time my business has been down, and I've been in business 5 years. I've never had a down month as hard as I work.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
companies that would traditionally partner with us, they're not doing that anymore because they don't want to honor the commitments that they made. And for some
Hmm.
folks like me, I gave Amazon money back. They
Hmm.
wanted to partner with me for Black Entrepreneurs Day, and I was like, if you roll back your DEI, I got to give you your money back. But here's the
Hmm.
beautiful thing is
Wow.
that Black business owners, Hispanic business owners, Hmong business owners, we are coming together and we're
Hmm.
circulating our dollars. We're
Hmm.
making sure we
Hmm.
patronize one another. We're making sure that we hire one another. We are bartering. We are collaborating. We are partnering with each other. So instead of getting that big check from Amazon, I just got 10 Black entrepreneurs to work with. And so we've got to change the way that we think about how we do business. And I'm
Hmm.
hoping that I am an example to those business owners who were hopeful that they'll get their products on Target store shelves, that they'll go to the Dream Shop or they'll go to Kobe Co. or they'll go to Roslyn Candles and put their
Right.
products there versus trying to get in the big box stores because that's
Yeah.
no longer an option for us. And so
Yeah.
we've just got to change the way we think about things. I've been meeting with business owners and they're afraid. But you know what? We're hopeful. We're
Yeah.
hopeful that we can change the way we do things. Think about Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Black Wall Street, and how all those years ago, even during segregation, these Black business owners built up an amazing ecosystem where they were all thriving because they worked together. And we just got to get back to basics and get back to the old way of
Hmm.
doing things.
Well, that is so typical of you, Shaletta, that you are like, okay, if that door closed, then I'm going to find another way. And
Girl, look.
and I think, you know, the other thing that we're seeing, so there's so much power in that. There is power in unity. And
Hmm.
I mean, I also think I just read that Target stock prices dropped like 25%, and people, their business is down. People don't like it. And people are using their shopping power to send a message to these
Hmm.
big corporations that are caving under the pressure, and it's against their best interest. Because I mean, these efforts to around diversity and equity and inclusion for these big institutions was not a gift or a handout. It was in their enlightened self-interest to figure out how to expand their markets and expand the products that they can offer in order to be stronger. And so they are, they're going to be weaker because of what
Hmm.
they are doing. And I mean, there's a level to what the Trump administration is doing, which is all
Hmm.
about intimidation. and using, using their power to intimidate these big companies. And unfortunately, right now, when they feel like they're on the down, they're not standing up. But it's going to end up hurting their businesses in the long run. And so I'm with you 100% of the way. And the level of innovation and creativity and just like sweat equity that I see in these BIPOC businesses is really inspiration for me.
It is. And, we have organizations like the West Broadway Business Coalition, we have
Mm-hmm.
Neon, we have META, and so many other organizations in DC, right here in the Twin Cities, who specialize in helping small businesses. You work with them, you make sure they get the funding and the infrastructure to help us. And so we
Right.
have those organizations to lean on. And, I take for granted the work that you've done in making sure these organizations are up and running and
Mm-hmm.
thriving, because
Mm-hmm.
then they can help us. And we don't have anything else like that in the country. I talk to business owners in Houston
Let's
and
see.
in Louisiana and in Dallas, and they don't have anything like we have in the Twin Cities with all these organizations that are specifically designed to help BIPOC business owners.
Totally. And I remember when you and I did I think it was a roundtable that we did not that long, a couple of years ago, maybe. And I mean, it's not that complicated. If you are an entrepreneur wanting to start out, it takes money to make money. You got to have
Mhm.
that seed capital in order to get off the ground. And this is the place where we can see that there are just great inequities. And, black and brown Hmong businesses often don't, I remember we were with one woman who just said, I marched into the bank and I said, what do I have to do?
Yeah.
There must be some code here that I need to break in order to figure out how to get that working capital loan so I can get
Mhm.
my business off the ground. And as you're describing, these organizations like Meta and Neon are breaking that code for entrepreneurs and creating ways for them to get that seed capital so that they can get going. And it is an inspiration. And we're gonna keep working on this.
Well, I can't thank you enough for making sure that they are up and running and viable. You see the value in that, and you see the value in how they help small businesses. And girl, I just got an email from Dorothy Bridges at Meta, and they have selected me. Okay, let me read it to you, girl. Let me read it to you, girl. Let me read it to you. This is from Dorothy Bridges at Meta,
Mm-hmm.
the Metropolitan Economic Development
Development
Association.
Association.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
girl, you ready? Okay, you ready? Okay, you sitting down? Okay, it says, congratulations. I'm thrilled to inform you that you have been chosen to receive the Small Business Champion of the Year award from MEDA. This
That's
award
amazing, Sheletta.
recognizes outstanding contributions to our community, and we are so honored to recognize your achievements. I just got that, girl. That just came
That
through.
congratulations. And that's pretty cool to get that from Dorothy Bridges, who has been such a powerful example of leadership in the community. And it reminds me that we do have some really great financial institutions in Minnesota, like the ones that, Dorothy has led, that have been also breaking the code when it comes to creating access to capital for entrepreneurs, just like you. So that's amazing. Congratulations.
Girl, thank you. Now it's gonna be on June 17th. I'm gonna send you an invitation because you gotta come and sit at my table so I can let everybody know, hey, I know some people in the US Senate,
I'll be
but
like, hey, I know some people. You may think I'm just a United States Senator, but I'm friends with Sheletta.
well, I'm just glad that you are a friend of our community. You are standing strong and a champion for us. I just can't imagine how hard this work is, how you go behind those doors and get beat up and come out with money for us, come out with resources for us, come out with infrastructure for us, because it is not, fashionable right now to be fighting for the least of these. And you are going into rooms and closing the door and going to battle in ways that we will never know, but we see the results in the funding and the resources that you provide for these small businesses,
Thank you.
and entrepreneurs who look like me. And girl, I just need to say thank you for going to battle for us.
Well, thank you. It is, it's what makes me keep going. It is the engine for my work over these next 20 months that I'm in this role. And I always love thinking about how, and there are relationships like our friendship that we've built over
Mhm.
these years will, of course, continue. Uh,
Yeah.
we'll continue. And who knows what trouble we'll be able to figure out how to get into.
Girl,
You know,
it's all gonna be good trouble. Okay, so are we having a going away party? Are we having like a big ball? I mean, we got to do this up big, girl. Don't make me throw a party. And if you're not gonna throw a party, because I know you subject to not throw a party, so we got to throw a big party and invite everybody and have a good old time.
well, we've got plenty of time to plan. You know, we got 20 months to figure that out. So maybe
Okay.
we'll put that on our to-do list.
Okay, and that rascal is long. I know you got a lot to do. I thank you for being on the show today. We won't let it be another, year or so before we get together again. And thank you so much on behalf of entrepreneurs throughout the great state of Minnesota for all the work you do to make sure that we get equal access so that our businesses can thrive. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. I'll see you soon.
All right. And you will see us next week. You never know who's stopping by. Maybe we can get that French's fried chicken eating Tim Walls to make an appearance on the show. We'll see you next week.
That girl is crazy in a good way. To check out previous episodes, log on to her website, SheLettaMakesMeLaugh.com. You can also check out where she's appearing next and score cool merch.